What's up everybody? So today's setup is a little bit different because this setup right here from WatchTower is the Nick from PewView Special. Now, if you don't know who Nick from PewView is, you've got to check his channel out, of course, after you watch this video, but he does some amazing stuff and he is super fast and insanely accurate. I've been on the range with him a couple times now and it never ceases to amaze me the things that he can do out there. Now, I say it's kind of special and it's his build because he teamed up with WatchTower, and this is kind of his magical mix of parts. And he's also got a really cool 2011 coming out, which is absolutely beautiful. I got a chance to run that thing and it is super cool. Before we get started here, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreons for your support because you make so much of what happens here on the channel actually possible. All right, the WatchTower Type 15 is a solid rifle coming with more than basic parts to it at a price point that leaves a little bit of meat on the bone so you can still get your optic and get out there and start having some fun. The upper and lower receiver of the WatchTower Type 15 are 70/75 billet machined aluminum, anodized coated in black with a no wiggle fit. So this one is not going to torque on you when you're out there pulling the trigger. It has an integral trigger guard, which is always a huge plus for me. A Hyperfire ED2 heavy gunner trigger in it, which is a great upgrade right out of the box on any rifle because it runs and it's extremely reliable. The WatchTower also has a PVD coated Durabolt with an M16 profile. It's fully magnetic particle inspected and of course properly staked. That's extremely important. The carrier is made of 8620 and the bolt is made of Carpenter 158. So if you don't know, those are the good ones you are looking for. You get a choice between a 16-inch stainless cold hammer forged mid-length gas system barrel in either 5.56 or 223 Wild. The WatchTower Type 15 will also come with a 13.7-inch rail with 5 positions of M-LOK. However, 2 of those positions are quite a bit shorter than the other main slots for the M-LOK, but it will also have 4 QD points integrated into the rail and a full section of Picatinny all the way across the rail, mating into that upper receiver. And then capping off the barrel is an extremely effective muzzle brake, again coated in that sexy black PVD. And one thing I can assure you is that muzzle device right there is extremely effective. The furniture on the Type 15 is some of my personal favorite, being the B5 Systems grip and the B5 Systems adjustable stock. You also get extended pivot and takedown pins, a really nice ambidextrous charging handle. And until I used this charging handle, I didn't know how I was gonna like it, but after using it, I have to say it's quite a bit nicer than a lot of others out on the market today. Now, I know some of you need to see the full spec sheet on that Type 15 with some calming music, so here you go. All right, let me know in the comments down below what you think the next spec sheet song should be. And if you guys like seeing these videos on stuff like the WatchTower Type 15 getting unbiased reviews, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's gonna do a couple of things. One, it's gonna make sure you don't miss any content when things come out. Two, it's also gonna tell YouTube to push this video to other people, some of which maybe have never seen 2A content and we can help change their mind. And others maybe are just looking for information on the same thing that you are. And if you guys are interested in anything you saw here today, I will leave a parts list down below where you can do all of your own research in case you want more information. Now, what about that range performance? So I ran all of the basic ammunition that I run through everything when I tested out on the range. That's gonna be some cheap range ammo, stuff like PMC, Winchester, White Box, stuff I've had laying around forever. And of course, I did run some 62 grain and some 75 grain that I had laying around just to see how it was gonna run, and it performed beautifully on all of it. I took the Type 15 from the up close range drills that I always do, which is everything from a build drill, transition drills, reload drills, and just making sure the thing's overall gonna function and run. And then I did run it at a little bit more of a distance. I took it from 150 out to about 485-ish on 20x20 steel plates, and it was pretty easily accomplished out there. I didn't notice any deficiencies in the accuracy or issues hitting those plates at all. And I don't know about you, but that's pretty much the type of accuracy I'm looking for in a rifle setup like this. It's not a precision build, but it's definitely one that can be taken further than most people even have access to on a range, which is that 485 that I was able to take it to. It gave me zero issues out there on any type of ammunition that I tried. I'm roughly 500 rounds into it, and I'm definitely going to keep going. Now, there are some standout features when it comes to the Type 15 for me. First of which being the B5 Systems furniture. I am a huge fan of that. I often switch to this when rifles don't come with it, and I think they did a great job going with it. Two, the charging handle. I don't know what it is about that, but that rounded off charging handle like that just seems extremely comfortable, and it seems to work much better than some others I have tried. But of course, you know my first love is always going to be Radian. And next up is going to be that Hyperfire EDT upgrade in there. It is an extremely nice trigger for the price point. It is extremely reliable, and it gives you such a better feel than a basic mil-spec trigger. But since nobody gets a free pass here, is there anything I would change on this? And I'm going to say yes. I would love to see a 45-degree selector on there. I know that's a me thing, but I personally love those because it just seems to work better for my wrist injuries, and the fact that if you can see the scar, I've had surgery on that hand, I've banged it up, so it's just easier to manipulate a 45 for me. The other thing I would like to see is a QD backplate on here, because a lot of times I'm running a single point sling or one that's convertible to a single point, and it's just easy to run it from there. And that makes sure that your rifle is not like hanging way down here if your QD point's back there. And on that same note, in kind of the same spot, I would like to see the castle nut in here staked. I know everybody doesn't do that. Some people think it doesn't really matter, but that's just one of those things where I've seen castle nuts come loose before. This one did not, but I always like to see proper staking, especially after that rifle is broke in. There is one other thing that I did notice, and that muzzle brake right there, while being absolutely beautiful in that black PVD, it's extremely effective. You do not want to be anywhere near me when I'm firing this thing with that muzzle brake. Again, this thing is built for speed, not for comfort, and it's built to run flat, which it does an exceptional job at. But when I was filming, my camera was like 5 feet away or something, and it was rocking the whole camera on the tripod. So something I noticed, but you definitely want to give yourself some standoff if you're out of the range with your buddies when using a big gnarly brake like that. And just because I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention it, it weighs about 7 pounds, and they do have a lifetime warranty on it. Now that brings us to the point of, did I have any problems with the WatchTower Type 15 out on the range? Because the past 6 months, if you have not been paying attention to my channel, I've not had the best run of luck with quality control between a couple of brands out there, some well-known and some not so well-known. I've had some small problems, and I've had some pretty catastrophic ones. So bringing it to this one, it ran perfectly. It didn't have a single malfunction. However, at the end of the range day, I always check that kind of fit and how tight everything is, and if the rails come loose or any of the fasteners come out. And when I really torqued on this thing, I noted there was a tiny bit of movement in the rail off the upper receiver. Now, what I did was I went ahead and pulled those 4 screws out of there, went into that barrel nut, and realized that it wasn't up to spec to that 30 to 80 foot-pounds of torque that it's supposed to be at on the barrel nut. I contacted WatchTower and Nick from PewView, and apparently somebody had to be let go from WatchTower because they weren't exactly torquing things to spec. It became a repeated issue with that person, and they are no longer employed there. Can't really ask for much more than that, but that was the only thing that came up in here. I torqued it up, it's good to go. I've run more rounds since, it has not come loose. So it was a QC issue, and it seems to be out in the market right now. Manufacturers and just anybody in anything seems to be having a really hard time keeping good employees around. Now, if you guys know what's causing that, if it's just people being lazy or people maybe just not caring about the company they're working for, I'd like to know in the comments, because I've always had a lot of, I don't know, I guess faith in my employer, and I've always had a lot of pride in what I do for my employer, but it seems to be a lot of people out there have lost that recently, and it's making companies maybe not appear the best. So kind of weird, but that did come up, and I just wanted to make sure you guys knew it's a one-off issue with this, and they've taken care of the issue, like I said. I know some of you have been checking out how I have the Type 15 outfitted here, and this is the PewView Special, like I said. So it's got Magpul backup iron sights, the Vortex Spark 2 solar, which is a great little red dot. It's got solar backup, easy on the wallet, and overall just performs. Vortex is known for being some of the most durable optics out there, and they've got that lifetime warranty. And then this Surefire Scout light up here, which is one of my personal favorites. I've used them for years and years. They're bulletproof lights. They're not exactly the cheapest, but they are 100% good to go. Other than that, she's built light, and she is built for speed, especially with that muzzle brake. So talking about price point now, I've seen these out there for $9.99. not obviously with the light and the optic, but for the rifle. And I think that is absolutely solid. The MSRP on them I think is like $14.59, but I kind of go by the price I see them for out there, and I do like an average. If I see one at like 12 and one at like 9, I average it out. But you can find them out there for the $9.99. I think that's a pretty solid price point for what you're getting in the way of the Type 15 with the upgrades that it has right out of the box. Now make sure you get subbed up to the channel and check out the parts list if you want to do any of your own research or find some ways to not pay full price for things. That'll all be over at the build list. And of course, check out Nick from PewView's channel. Keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.